Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the latest in the series, the NORA Webcast series. We've been running these shows for quite a while now, and there's more to come. But today's show is a very special one for me. I'm going to be joined by my big pal, Christina from Green Umbrella Marketing. Before I go on to that, though, can I just give you some updates on where we are with the NORAs? Last week, I explained about the new venue that we have. As is always the case when you have a new venue, there are 100 questions about the venue itself. So to be absolutely clear, on the night of the NORAs on the 10th of November, there's no dress code. There'll be no ball gowns, no tuxedos, no chicken dinners. It's not that kind of event. That said, please get dressed up for a party, because that's the whole intention. The whole idea of the event for the NORAs is networking and celebration. So we want people to come and enjoy themselves. If that means dressing up, then absolutely do that. So that's not a problem. The venue itself could not be more perfect for the NORAs. One thing really important, it is fully accessible. There's a lift that goes down to the hall area for anyone with mobility needs or wheelchairs and so on. The sponsors are going to be up. There's a large balcony above the area, above the main area, with the sponsors gallery up there. So anyone who's coming along with sponsors, who's one of the sponsors' guests, there's a big reception up there for you. Down on the floor, there's going to be cabaret tables in front of the stage. We have a proper stage and a proper band. And above the proper stage and proper band is a huge screen. So everything that's going on at any one time will be visible the entire time. So have no concerns on that front. So getting back to where we are today, this is the latest in the NORA Webcast series. My special guest today is Christina Robinsom from Green Umbrella Marketing. Green Umbrella provide amazing services to recruitment firms throughout the UK in terms of making sure that they have the best visibility possible, not only to clients and to candidates, but to make sure that their message gets out there. So I'm not going to shilly-shally around any longer. I'm going to bring Christina on stage. Christina, good afternoon. I have to ask, and my wife tells me off for saying this, but how did
I'm wonderful. I'm good. Really, really good.
You do cheeky bism sometimes. I'll interpret that to mean that you're well.
Fantastic. Yeah, really good.
That's good to hear. How busy is the world of Green Umbrella at the minute?
So there is so much going on. Obviously, we had the Recruitment Agency Expo just a couple of weeks ago, and we've just had like so much going on off the back of that. And then with our existing clients as well, it's the recruiters we're working with at the minute it's like the success is unreal. It's it's really exciting time to be working with them at the minute, and just like everything, like the last 18 months, 2 years, to see what they're doing right now. It's makes me happy, and keeps me busy.
This might be a wrong impression, but I'm going to say it anyway. The current marketplace, there's obviously a huge amount of recruitment going on right now, and not so long ago there wasn't that much recruitment going on, so there's been that kind of ebb and flow, and it's a bit like, you know, when you have a big wave coming at the sea, at the beach, a tsunami sort of thing, and the wave pulls back and then comes in much more. So right now it does feel that there's and I'm not saying it's wrong, but it feels like there's an artificially high number or amount of activity going on, number of vacancies, and of course the availability of candidates is not what it was or what you might expect. So whenever there's a mismatch in supply and demand, then recruitment firms can and should do really well. And of course, you work almost entirely with recruitment firms themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the difference is if you think about like the working hard versus working smart thing, there's a lot of recruiters out there that are, you know, that they've got, you know, the opportunities are there, they've got the jobs on, they're struggling for the candidates. So they're busy, but they're not actually raising any invoices.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, there's some of the recruiters we've been working with for years where they're in that really good position right now where, yes, they're busy, they've got all those additional opportunities there, but they are actually making the placements as well, because they're utilising the databases, they've got their socials just right to, you know, keep things ticking through. It's and they're not in that it doesn't feel like a feast and famine mentality.
Yeah.
They're not going, well, we've got all these opportunities, but we haven't got the candidates and we don't want to overpromise. So now they're stopping the BD because they don't want more vacancies they can't fill.
Yeah.
The ones we're working with haven't got that issue. And
Yeah.
I say, especially, you know, doing the things like this, Rec Expo, going out talking to recruiters when, it's, I don't know, I feel like we're in a privileged position. Am I brave enough to say that?
It's definitely interesting times. So to backtrack, for any of our audience who've joined us here today, either live or watching on replay or watching on any of the social media platforms that we're streaming out to right now, can you give us a bit of a background to yourself and Green Umbrella and where you fit into the marketplace?
So Green, we're in, 11 years of business. So Green Umbrella started as a hobby business for an ex-recruiter. And just doing like social media training. And initially, there was never the intention to specialize in recruitment. But I think there's this thing, once you're in recruitment, it's hard to get out of, right? So the service then developed into an outsourced social media marketing service that focuses on working with independent recruiters. I started, have I been a recruiter previously? No, I haven't. But I started working here in 2013, and like all I've done all day, every day is talk with recruiters, work with recruiters, put sort of, campaigns together, that kind of thing. And in 2019, the founder exited the business and I became, don't know what we'll label me as, leader extraordinaire. And like I say, it's
George's
kind
mum.
of just, it's just like I mean, what we don't do for recruiters now, like the ones we're working with, it really is. It's everything from helping with the social media, putting their overall strategies together, email marketing, websites. It's the whole shebang really from a marketing perspective. But the ones we don't work with, we're constantly speaking at events and sort of, just putting as much information out there as we can, so it's as accessible for everyone.
Yeah. So you're also a judge in the NORAs, and people often point to, or they'll say, so what's the credibility of someone who's involved in the judging and the work that you're doing with your clients all day, every day, is where your experience and knowledge comes from, and how they're interacting with, or how they're getting the message out to candidates and how candidates engage with that. So who would be your typical client that you're working with, and is it just in the UK?
So we are currently with just UK. So independent agencies, I would say usually sort of max 30 employees in terms of our the bigger work we do, the outsourced stuff. But we also work with some agencies that are bigger than that from a consultancy perspective, coaching and training, that kind of thing. So it's quite varied.
So are there any prospects that Green Umbrella would go further afield to other countries? Green Parapluie?
Maybe. So we've had opportunities previously. I'm looking at some things at the minute where just focusing on English speaking countries might be something to go down. But I just feel like what is it? Almost 40,000 recruiters in the UK.
Yeah,
it's like there's a lot of recruiters here that where we still haven't had the opportunity to help just yet before we start looking further afield. So there's plenty to be done on the home front.
I hope you noticed I've branded up with the green specs in tribute. I should really find a pair of these and send them to you, but you would have to be +2 readers. So if they're not good for your eyes, then don't wear them. But so the importance of branding is obviously one of the things that you'll do. Can I ask though, what do companies normally assume when you start talking about recruitment marketing for recruitment agencies? What's the typical assumption about Green Umbrella? And I know there are some other companies out there who do similar things. What's the assumption that people have?
I think that when it comes to recruitment marketing, when it comes to social media agencies more specifically, I think it's a little bit negative, if I'm really honest, but it's kind of like, you know, with the colouring in department, it's not a proper job anyway. And I think there's so much competition in the marketplace now. It is a little bit like selling double glazing or something. It's that there is that kind of attitude around it. But it's such an important thing to your business, such an important thing. And I think that it's, you know, if I look at sort of who my competitors are, we're all very, very different. And I think recruiters perhaps they don't put enough importance on finding an agency that's actually, these are people I would employ to be part of my business. This is someone I would bring into my team and take that approach with it, because it has to be an extension of your team, whoever you work with. And it has to be someone that, you know, their values are aligned with you, the way that they work, the ethos, the characters have got to be the right fit for them to essentially be able to take your voice forward as well. So there's quite a lot to it that, like I say, people just don't consider.
I think it's the putting the value on the work and the benefit of the work is key. So when you said the colouring in department, it's often the case in many firms, not just in recruitment, but say in recruitment firms, where they'll delegate the handling of their Twitter account to someone relatively junior in the office, maybe someone who's only joined the company and maybe isn't in tune with the kind of messaging that they should be putting out there, but they'll delegate to someone like that because they don't see it as that difficult or that important, or that there's a need for sophistication in it. But when you get into the use of it and the benefits from it, then your front window, how you present yourself to the world, is vitally important, and how the world engages with you in return. Well, that factors into your planning for the future. You know, if people are taking you serious, if people are, you know, paying attention and responding to the messages you're putting out there, then what messages, where, when, how, to what extent, which companies, all of those things can be measured. And if you can measure it, then you can have that as part of your business planning. Yeah,
I mean, your people put huge investment into their branding, and then they're kind of like, here you go, admin person, or, you know, here you go, Kickstarter. You know, here's our social channels, go for it. And all of a sudden that branding's being pulled apart in so many different directions. And it doesn't create the perception you want it to create.
It might seem trivial to say, but one of the biggest bugbearers, and it's a tiny thing that everyone can fix, is that whoever is putting out content for any organization, make sure that they have a really high quality logo in the right sizes that can be put on whatever social media channel, because if your logo is getting pushed and pulled and stretched and knocked out of shape, then that kills your brand all the way across, and you look really amateur. So you know, it's a tiny thing, but in one email you can send out you know, high quality resolution logos to everyone who's going to be doing that sort of thing. But yeah, going beyond that, what's the evolution of Green Umbrella within the sector, and have you seen the evolution of the level of seriousness that people are taking their marketing?
Yeah, I think that, so the last 18 months has really made people consider the investment of time and effort as well as the financial investment. I think there's I do feel there's been a shift in terms of the way people think about return on investment, and it is that actually they understand it's more of a return on interest in the brand, personal brand and business brand. So I think that really means that we're just going to catapult forward. It really does. And, you know, some things recruiters are doing, they're really starting to look outside of recruitment now, and like actually, you know, retail brands, you know, what campaigns are running there, and actually how can we take that and bring it into recruitment, looking at other platforms, other styles of content. It's, you know, I had a long conversation this morning with someone around sort of TikTok and Reels and the structure of a video for that, because essentially if you're looking at, you know, your graduate market, anything early careers, that's where the big opportunity is now. But it's kind of, there's not many people that have done it yet in order for us to have masses of case studies, and especially, you know, within an independent market, to be able to sort of filter that back and create a strategy that's going to work there. The social media world it's just the evolution it's the only thing that is consistent.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can say consistently happens is that the rug gets pulled out from under me from whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
There's just so much going on and so many like new mediums. The evolution is just endless.
Well, of course, you need to continually be doing your homework on what's working, what's new, what you might need to drop because it doesn't work anymore, that sort of thing. But that's marketing. Marketing, you need to be on your toes and aware of who your audience are, where they are, what they respond to, and to address that. So when you sit down with a typical client, and I'm going to ask again, what would your typical client look like in terms of size? But when you sit down with that typical client, what's the first thing that you do to review their current state of play with regards to their marketing?
Okay, so the first question really is, tell me about the bit like forget that we're here to talk about marketing right now.
Yeah.
What are you trying to achieve in the business? What are the business goals? Are you increasing headcount? Is it more so about is it candidate attraction? Have you got an exit strategy? Are we actually working towards an exit strategy? Is there something else going on where actually you're planning to rebrand next year, or because it's, whether because you're doing some sort of M&A or it's a big birthday, maybe a 21st birthday, Stephen. So it's like, actually, what's the big picture? Okay, now we understand the big picture. Now we understand what the objectives are from a marketing perspective and how marketing can feed that. Now we can start talking about where you need to be, what your focus should be, what we implement, because, then we get, no recruiter ever knows what their budget is. Ever. They're like, oh, I didn't think about that bit. So it's kind of like, it's having those conversations initially, because from there we can then say, right, let's look at the building blocks you have in place. I'd say most of the if I look at the last 6 months, most of the recruiters that I've had conversations with, they've got a website and they've got email marketing and they've got a blog and they've got LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram. And it's a bit like being, when you're like at a fairground or something, there's the guy walking around with all the helium balloons. They've got all the balloons, all the balloons, but no one's got hold of them at the bottom. And it's kind of, it's understanding that piece first, so we can then go, actually, right, do you know what? These are the ones we just need to let go of because they're not serving you. And they're not going to serve you. And these are the ones we actually really need to kind of like focus on and bring into alignment.
So you would survey their current state of play. What are they doing right now? What tools are they using to do that? What tools do they have that might be underutilized? And I suppose what skills they have within the organization, because they might have individual recruiters who do a great job of marketing themselves and their vacancies, but that's not reflected in other parts of the company. So going on from that, my experience of being an agency owner, as well as knowing plenty of them, is that they typically want to be self-sufficient, and bringing in external people sometimes can feel alien. Is part of your job to train them how to become self-sufficient or to do things on their behalf?
So success for me is, as an agency owner, you outsource it all to me. I do a good job, your business grows. You're then able to bring someone into your business to deal with it internally. I coach and train them so that actually we get to a point where maybe we spend half a day twice a year together, looking at strategy, looking at results, doing a deep dive on stuff, upskilling your knowledge where like new things have happened in that 6-month period. For me, that's what success looks like. And I think that's what a lot of agency owners want. They want it to be under their own roof. But we are, again, the question around like that ROI subject. I think also a lot of agency owners are now going, actually, maybe outsourcing is a better option because we've got one cost for that outsource agency, but we don't have to worry about software. We don't have to worry about all the associated costs of having an employee. We don't need to worry when, someone's dog's thrown up on the sofa or anything like that, or, any breakdowns people want to have. We can, it's just like, actually, that's over there. And that's all part of one thing.
Yeah.
So I think there has been a shift of people realizing outsourcing is going to be a better option. And then, like I say, when they get to that sort of 30 people, 35 people, I think that's when you really do need to have someone in-house. And there's a lot of one-person marketing departments around.
Yeah.
Which is a blessing and a curse.
So with the work that you do with your clients, how does that have a knock-on effect to what job seekers experience? Moving on from recruiters themselves, but what job seekers will experience from a recruitment company that is working to a well-thought-out marketing plan and sticking to the plan. What will job seekers experience that's going to make them respond better?
Simplicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's simplicity. So I think it's up to us as recruitment marketers to make sure it's as easy as possible for the right candidates to go through that process.
Yeah.
Within that, we need to apply some push away tactics as well. So there's some situations where actually to make the whole process more efficient, there's times where we want to put things in to make it a little bit more difficult for a candidate, perhaps, just so we can filter them out earlier in the recruitment process.
Yeah.
But also, it's, like I said, it's about making sure that, everything works on a mobile device.
Yeah.
It's simple as that, through to actually, now this candidate's in process, how do we stay in touch with them? Once they've had that, you're successful, or sorry, not this time, what happens next, so that candidate actually feels valued.
Yeah.
They're not feeling like they've been rejected. They're ready for the offer of the next opportunity. And so that we can keep the candidates on board. It is a candidate driven market. We talk to end clients about employer branding, but I think work needs to be done on candidate branding, and the agencies that are getting that bit right, actually, for the candidates, it's a much nicer journey to be part of.
Yeah. So as a judge in the NORAs, how does that inform what you're looking for when you're reviewing contenders for the NORAs this year, and how have you seen great examples of that?
So like I said, it is about actually, part of the process we go through is actually applying for some of these jobs that are out there. Yeah, and every single one I did it on my mobile phone. And it's kind of like, actually, if you run into a roadblock on your mobile, it's not candidate friendly, because that's the world that is the world we're living in now. Community is so important from a marketing perspective.
Yeah.
So actually, how are we bringing those candidates into those communities? And some of the people that we've seen, especially like some of the specialist job boards, they've then got, so part of the application process was almost like join our community here, and whether that was a Facebook group or a Slack community or whatever.
Yeah, feels like you're joining a club.
Absolutely. And it's like, basic human needs. You want to belong.
Yeah. So
from the psychology side of things, it's that was really good. But it was great to see recruiters doing it too. So like I say, for me, those two things really were really important to see, and really encouraging to see so much of it going on.
Yeah. A lot of it comes down to, when you're talking about initial and specialist job boards, especially targeting the audience accurately and making sure that the right message gets to the right people. People feel or they respond badly to spam that's mistargeted. If I get adverts for saga old person's holidays, then I might not respond too well to it, because I don't like to hear that. But adverts targeted at me that's talking about gadgets and technology and so on, those are a delight. I don't feel like I'm being spammed. And in the same way as as a job seeker, if you're being given useful information in your industry sector that's going to be adding to your wealth of knowledge, then you don't feel that you're being spammed and targeted poorly. You feel that you're being given something that makes you feel, well, this is something I want to be a part of. And in different ways on different sites, because the audiences are different, then that still has to be addressed. People need to be reassured that when they've gone to a recruitment website, this is the site for me. This is going to meet my needs. Maybe not the needs of everyone else, but from a marketing point of view, you always hope that you're speaking to the audience of one, and that's especially relevant when it's an audience that's on your phone, because they're literally looking directly into your site, and if they feel as if you're talking to them, then it's more intimate, it's more direct, and you get more clout as a marketeer.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of stuff, especially the last couple of years, around sort of the DE&I and actually those recruitment websites, how what's within the functionality to make it accessible from that perspective.
Yeah.
I sometimes wonder if there's enough focus that's been put on in terms of how do we make it accessible from the palm of someone's hand?
Yeah.
And it's always lacking.
Yeah. So with all of the marketing channels and social media channels are a big part of that, but marketing channels include email marketing and other direct forms of contact with individuals. It might be marketing through the ATS of a recruitment agency. So you're contacting people through that path. It might be that you're using text messages or lots of other routes to get your messages through. I suppose I'm looking forward to the time when the use of them, even if the platforms are not integrated, but the use of them feels much more integrated, that intuitively candidates are receiving message on the platform that they prefer, whether it be on WhatsApp or text or Facebook and Messenger. And from a recruiter's point of view, it's much more simple to do, rather than, right, I'm going to do Twitter for X amount of time, then I'm going to stop that, and then I'm going to go over to Instagram and generate content and put it out on there, and I'm going to be measuring both of those separately. How far are we from that kind of integration?
Not as close as I want us to be. There's more in terms of the messaging options now and the messaging automation. So I think that's becoming simpler and easier to implement. But in terms of the platforms themselves, I think that there is this trend of omnipresence. We need to be everywhere. Okay. Yeah. And yes, I'd nod my head and absolutely, but we don't need to be everywhere and it be overwhelming so that we're doing a crap job in places. We want to be everywhere we can be, in a good way. Okay. So like I said, that's really important. But it's also about understanding what is it we're actually going to get out of each of our channels. Yeah. Because it's, we had, off the back of Expo, we had someone talk to us about Twitter. And it's like, well, I really don't want you to engage in Twitter right now, because you're not scoring a 10 out of 10 on LinkedIn. Yeah. So you need to get that right. And really, doing that, and then let's bring in Twitter, because when we do, we can kind of create something within that is far more integrated, and it doesn't feel so much as I've done job 1, now I need to job 2 and job 3. So it's all of that side. It's having a real clear purpose for each channel. Just it allows you within your content planning to bring it all together.
In judging for the NORAs this year, I did the arduous task of making sure that on the judging form sent out to all the judges, we had all the social media channels of each of the contenders. So Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and so on. And it often surprised me that some companies had clearly made a choice, because it's not on the website anywhere. We don't do Twitter, or we don't do Instagram, or and one that you would expect to be there. So I would expect LinkedIn to be everywhere, and of course, it is everywhere. You can, if you're not on LinkedIn, you're not a recruiter, I'd say. But sometimes it's a choice, and is that what they're doing? They're basically saying, no, we're not doing Twitter right now because we're focusing on other things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of it is, I say this with love, okay? Recruiters are bloody impatient. They want the result tomorrow. I tweeted this, but I didn't get a candidate. Well, I'm shocked. You know, it's kind of, you know, we have to understand, like, Twitter as a platform has massive value to us, but no, it's not going to drive traffic to your website. No, you're not going to get candidates approaching you through there. Even from a BD perspective, you know, you're not going to get leads for vacancies through there.
Yeah.
However, if, you know, every recruiter also wants to be seen as the go-to recruiter for their sector. They want to be seen as the expert in their field.
Yeah.
And, you know, who are the leaders in that sector you're serving? Well, they're probably hanging out on Twitter, broadcasting their messages, where you can be giving them their high fives and standing out to them, because actually they're already getting a load of it from other recruiters on LinkedIn and on their followers on Instagram. It's like, here's somewhere a bit more unique, where actually when you stand out there, and, you know, Twitter as a platform is a bit more, I don't know, the impression of it is it's a bit more, you know, educated people use Twitter, you know. So actually, if you know, let's look at the reasons why you're standing out. It's a massively valuable tool, but a lot of people are like, no, it doesn't bring me results. I can't get results within 3.5 minutes. I'm not going to use it.
Yeah, I can see just in the chat we've got Debbie, and I think that's Angela behind the Recruiting Gym account there. Angela was a bit late. On a positive note, she's late because she had 2 companies sign up this morning, one from Google Search and stating our SEO is working, and the other from the Expo. So that's fantastic. And hashtag play the long game. So I always like to see, and I try and stress to people that the campaign effect is a real thing. Don't just send out your messages on one channel, and don't stick to the same message. A/B test as much as you can. Use multiple channels, and have the message on one leaning on the message from another, so it feels interconnected, and that people are building up a knowledge and an awareness of your organization and what you do and how you can help them. Not only clients or potential clients, but also, you know, job seekers themselves. So if you're speaking with a client, and a typical client, say, just as a quick takeaway for recruitment agencies, what would be the quickest way that someone could have an ROI, a return on investment, or a quick win on making a quick change to what they're doing? What have you seen that actually, if you do this, you by the end of the week, you'll be astonished at what happens?
Literally, like, whatever that vacancy is you're working on right now that you're really struggling to fill, apply for it.
Yeah. Apply for your own vacancy.
Apply for your own vacancy. Follow, and the first issue you come to, the first block, fix that. Just fix that.
That's perfect.
You know, I spoke to so recruiters sort of working at some pretty decent volume at the minute, and they're really struggling with one particular project that they're working on. Yeah. And I said, right, get your phones out. I've got the 3 directors. I said, I want you all, like, literally now, apply. And it's like within 5 minutes, they were like, oh, that bit doesn't work. Yeah. You know, oh, it's asked me for this information, but I don't have that with me. And I'm like, your candidates probably don't either when they get to that point. So how, you know, what's a different way of asking them for that? Or where can we put that somewhere else in the process? Yeah. So that was about 3-4 weeks ago, and I caught up with them at the end of last week, and they're, you know, they're like, just fixing that one thing has made the difference. So apply for your job. Yeah. I've in the past, I've sometimes gotten rival recruiters working for me to apply for each other's jobs, and then, you know, critique them and say, you know, and usually there's a number of expletives come out,
about how stupid and moronic the other person's advert was. But all in good fun. It's a great way of getting a bit of banter going, but obviously, some home truths are told. We all experience as judges, we're all asked with, registering with all of these contenders. There's been 500 this year, registering, searching, applying for vacancies and going through the same process as candidates. And for us, it's a revelation. And for each of the contenders that are up for the NORAs and everyone else, then it's a great lesson to learn. Try it for yourself. So yeah, that's brilliant. That's perfect. I've just noticed, Christina, we've gone a little bit over time. We often do. I could talk to you all day, every day, but let's not dig into that too much. Thank you very much for being my guest today. It's been great to see you on. It's been great to have Green Umbrella involved with the NORAs this year. You're going to be presenting an award on stage, so that's going to be fabulous. And I look forward to seeing you at the event. It's 2 weeks from tomorrow.
I know, it's come around so quickly.
I hope you've got a party frock organised, or is it going to be pinstripes? So what are you going to go for?
Probably halfway between the two. I think I'll break out a jumpsuit for you. There you go. I'll go halfway between the two.
If you wear a jumpsuit, I'll wear a jumpsuit. I think that's a good deal. So thank you very much, everyone who's joined in the audience. Thanks everyone who's watching on replay and everyone who's watching on all of the streaming channels that we're going out to. We have another show tomorrow. Tomorrow is a cracker of a show. We have Jerome Turnick, who is the founder and CEO of Smart Recruiters. Smart Recruiters are, of course, our headline sponsor for the NORAs this year, and they're really helping us to make sure that it's the best possible event in our new venue. So Jerome has amazing insights, as you would imagine, from an organization that big worldwide to what's going on in the current marketplace. So please join us tomorrow. The time, because Jerome is on the other side of the planet, the time is going to be at 3:30 in the afternoon. So please join us for that. But in the meantime, Christina, it's been an absolute delight as ever. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you at the NORAs.
See you there.
Thanks, everybody.